Hello, my dearest friends. Welcome or welcome back to my channel, Diana and the Book Hunt. Today I'm going to be talking about a specific trope. I've got a trope recommendation video for you today. And this one, I've tried to record this before, but it's so tricky for me to come up with the right way to describe what I'm trying to say. I'm really going to do my best to do this trope recommendation video justice because I don't think that I've found one quite similar to the video that I want to make. So I really want to do this as well as possible so I can really give this trope the best possible light within this booktube community. I'm going to be talking about child-free romances. So a couple of these recommendations are going to focus on people who choose to be in a relationship where they remain a couple that doesn't have kids. So really child-free romances, they plan on not having any kids. And another set of books that are also on this list are books where kids are simply not discussed. So really the focus of the romance is between the two characters, and there is no kind of mention or a heavy leaning towards kids being in the progression of the book, pregnancies or kids in the future. They're just not in the picture. And I find it quite refreshing to read this kind of a romance because I find that obviously the happily ever after of romances is often leaning towards people getting married, getting pregnant, having kids, and that is wonderful. But there is also, I think, quite a big community of people who choose not to have kids, and those are maybe a bit underrepresented within romances. So I find it quite refreshing whenever I find a book that has a child-free representation. And I have to say that I quite respect people who choose not to have kids. Within my circle of people, I've had discussions about this topic, and it's quite difficult to make this decision because within society, it's quite pushed upon us that the progression of life is you graduate, you go into college, you get your degree, you get into a career, and then you get married and have kids. And that is life, right? Most of societies focus on this kind of a structure within life. And if you decide to fall out of that structure, people start to question you about it, which feels quite uncomfortable. While this is a very personal and a very important choice within life. And honestly, I find it fascinating, and I find that I respect the decision of people who choose not to have kids because it's a deeply personal choice. And also, if I think about bringing a child into this world, I want to give them the best possible chance of making it in this world, right? So I want to have a good partner next to me so that we can both teach our child the best possible values. Even if the relationship between me and my partner doesn't work out, I still want to have chosen a person whom I can trust is going to instill a lot of positive traits within that child. Also, financially speaking, having a child is very difficult. So I can imagine that if couples are not in the best place within a relationship, so they don't have the best kind of a partner next to them, or they are financially unstable, or they have other different kinds of reasons for not wanting to bring a child into this world, I really respect that. And I find that it needs to be celebrated more than frowned upon, because honestly, choosing yourself in this life does not make you selfish. It makes you choose yourself. It makes you want to invest the best possible things within you so you can bring it out into the world, hopefully. And that does not have to mean that you need to produce a child into this world to show that you have done something right. You can do a lot right without bringing a child into this world. This is very philosophical. Again, I've been trying to record this intro for I don't know how many times, but I just want to do this trope justice because I think that it's an important one. And I've got a few interesting and fascinating and beautiful books on this list that I want to discuss with you today. And I'm going to start off with, I think, my top read whenever it comes to this trope, and that's going to be by the Queen, Kennedy Ryan, one of my all-time favorite authors. It's her latest release, Can't Get Enough. It's within her Skyland series that focuses on 3 best friends who all have different kinds of stories, and I highly recommend all 3 of them, by the way, but this is the 3rd and last one within this series that focuses on Hendrix. Hendrix is a career woman, and she is someone who has chosen not to have children. She is dealing with different sets of issues within her life. Her mother has Alzheimer's or dementia. I'm forgetting which of the 2 she's struggling with. And then she also is working on a specific project, and that is how she comes to know of the hero, whose name is Maverick. He has just recently gotten out of a relationship, actually, because he has a kid, he has a child, and that child is already like in their 20s. And he's like, I don't want to have any more kids. And the partner he used to be with thought that she could change his mind and have a kid with him. But their paths just didn't align. So the issue of not wanting to have kids is very prominent within this book. And I thought that it's very thought-provoking and very interesting to really see the different facets and different kinds of arguments towards not wanting to have kids. When we're talking about the hero, he already has gone through that route, right? He has had a kid, he has gone through parenthood, he loves his child, but he is done. He does not want to have any more kids, and it's a valid choice. And he comes across a heroine who doesn't want to have children at all. And their paths converge, they don't diverge. So it's a very fascinating kind of a story because it features different kinds of tropes, not only the child-free trope, and that I really found fascinating. It's also a bit of a forbidden romance because the heroine works with his ex. And I don't know, there's just so much goodness into this book. I think that we can trust Kennedy Ryan to write badass heroines, heroes that are simply perfection to us women, and also the romance is just splendid. So this one is a top tier book within this recommendation list. So if you have not picked this one up, I would definitely recommend it. Book number 2 is another one where the discussion of not having kids is present within the book. This one is called Fight, and it's by Sloan St. James. It's part of the Hot Shots Wildfire Firefighters series that came out at the start of this year. I think it's book 1 or 2. I don't remember what number book it is, but this one focuses on a couple who has a very interesting kind of a story. The heroine, she used to be in a religious cult, and she escapes that cult. She goes to this small kind of mountain town where she's going to start working as an EMT. And the hero is a hotshot. He's a wildfire firefighter, and he has his own trauma because he has recently gone through loss within his firefighter team. And the 2 of them have this physical connection first, but then they go through this very interesting, adventure-filled and traumatic kind of a situation together where they have forced proximity. He saves her from a certain situation, and the 2 of them go into discussions exactly about this. Like, what are you looking for in life? What do you expect to see your life unfolding as? And the 2 of them just don't see each other having kids. He has a sister who has 2 or 3 kids, and he's like, I love my nieces and nephews, and I love spending time with them and being an uncle, but I don't see myself having that for myself. I see a different kind of life for myself. And the heroine on her side has a similar kind of a feeling, but for different kinds of reasons. And the 2 of them have this very fruitful discussion about this, which I really enjoyed reading about in a book. And that's why I would recommend this one. I gave this one 3.5 to 4 stars. And I would definitely recommend it if you're looking to explore this trope specifically. Now, the next one does not, I think, mention specifically that the hero and heroine don't want to have kids, but the 2 of them just kind of, we're assuming they don't plan on having kids because of the type of relationship that they're in. I'm talking about the Mindf series by St. Abbey. This is a story between our heroine, who is a serial killer, and the hero, who is an FBI profiler. So he essentially is looking for her to arrest her because she's a serial killer. And essentially the two of them have this wild ride of a relationship. She has her reasons for killing the guys that she is killing, and he has his reasons for kind of giving this relationship a shot. It does start off with a secret keeping kind of a situation where the heroine does not expose that she is the serial killer, obviously. So he does fall for her before he finds out, but at the same time, when he finds out, he definitely has seen enough to see why she's at the mental state that she's at. And essentially, the two of them, I just don't see them having kids. So there is no mention within these short novellas, because there is 5 books within this series. They're all on the shorter side. So essentially, you just get to explore their relationship. You get to explore their trauma. You get to explore how they get out of this trauma eventually. So this one, if you like, just unhinged, dark, and spicy and just forbidden kind of a romance where kids are just not present and they should not be present in here, then this one is one you might want to explore. The next one is a completely different kind of a story. It came out this year as well. It's called Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. This one features a marriage in crisis kind of a situation where the hero and heroine have been together for very many years. I think they've been together for like 17 years, and the two of them don't have kids, but they've gone through it. When it comes to their relationship, they dearly love each other and they definitely feel like they're soulmates to one another, but there are certain issues within their relationship that they have not addressed, that have just started to influence the relationship to a certain point where the heroine says, I don't think that I can do this anymore unless we do something about it. So the two of them go on this couples retreat where they're going hiking and doing therapy sessions within a week's time. And essentially, the two of them are child-free by choice. And it's a situation where I think it's important to explore these kinds of relationships of, okay, so we're not going to have any kids. We're going to be enough for one another to spend our lives together. But what happens when we're 10 years in? What happens when we're 20 years in? What happens when, God willing, we're 30 years in? How do we keep our relationship as exciting or as valuable? And how do we pour love, and not only love, but patience and understanding into our relationship, so our relationship can work within those 10, 20, 30-year marks? So I found that it's a very fascinating kind of a topic to explore, and I really enjoyed this one. So this one I would definitely recommend as well. It's getting increasingly dark, so give me a second. I'm going to see what I can do about the lighting. Now I think you can see me better. All right, so we're continuing on with the books that I have on my list. The next one is Take a Hint, Dani Brown. This is the second book within the Brown Sisters series by Talia Hibbert. This book is well beloved. I mean, the whole series is well beloved within the booktube community. And I think it's time to give it a bit of a revival. I mean, it was quite hot when it came out. A lot of people were talking about it, but I haven't heard anyone talking about it in a while. And I think out of the Brown Sisters books, I actually don't think I read the third one. I still need to get on that one. But out of the 2 that I've read, this one is actually my favorite. Within the story, we've got a very interesting setup because we've got Dani, who works at this school, and Zafir, who is also working at this school. Both of them have a different sets of issues to their life. She is very much someone who likes control. And she loves working with kids, but she's like the kind of a person who really doesn't want to be in a relationship. While Zafir, he is a romantic at heart. He actually reads romance novels, but he has such anxiety that it really hinders him from being in a committed relationship. His anxiety specifically is targeted towards losing loved ones. So it's a very intriguing kind of a romance, because it starts off with a situation where Dani gets stuck in this elevator. He saves her from this situation, and because of this situation that gets some media attention, they decide to fake date. So there is a fake dating aspect to this book. And really, the fact that we've got a setup where they work at a school and you see that both of them have a relationship with kids within their life, but within their relationship, that is not necessary. That is a different kind of an aspect within the child-free trope that I really enjoyed exploring. So within this book, it's a different kind of a setup. So I would definitely recommend this one as well. Now, the next book, I'm going to be quite honest about it. I don't think I gave it a fair shot when I read it the first time over. So I think I need to revisit it at some point. It's also a book that I think deserves to be revisited because it was quite popular a while ago, but I haven't heard anyone talking about it in a while. It's The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. This book features a heroine, Stella, who is on the spectrum. She's like this high functioning mathematician kind of a person who is so career focused that she is completely out of it when it comes to relationships. And she desperately does want to get it over with. She wants to see what all the fuss is about, and she wants to get some sexual experience so that she can be ready for whenever the real thing comes in. So she decides to hire an escort, who is our hero, Michael. And the two of them have this lessons in seduction situation going on. And the focus of this book is really the growth of Stella as a character, and also the progression of the relationship between herself and Michael. So children are really not in the picture within this book, which I very much appreciated, because I think that for this book to work, it needed to be Stella's story. It needed to be focused on how she's going to feel comfortable with someone being in her space, and how she's going to make it work when her whole kind of structured setup is one that focuses on her own structure as she sees it. I think it's very important to this kind of a discussion to know that certain boundaries need to be made when it comes to the structure of a life, right? What I mentioned at the start of the book of people pressuring couples of, you know, you need to get married and you need to have kids and you need to do this and you need to do that. And once you've had one kid, when's the second one coming? I mean, I understand that it comes from a good place, but at the same time, you don't know what people are dealing with in their personal lives. You don't know their again, financial situation, mental state, the type of partnership that they have, should they bring a child into this world. It really is a question of let people decide for themselves and don't act offended if they decide not to have kids, if you get what I mean. So yeah, I appreciated this one when it comes to that as well, and I definitely need to revisit it. And I think I didn't give it a fair shot at the time because I was reading different kinds of books, but now I think I would appreciate it all the more. Now, the next book is by Emily Henry, and for transparency's sake, I'm going to mention that it's not my favorite book by this author, but it does feature the child-free trope to a T. And this one is called Booklovers. It features two characters who work in the publishing industry. We've got our heroine Nora and our hero Charlie. The two of them are in this small bookish town. She's there on a holiday. He's there to help out with his family's shop, I think. And essentially, the two of them had this thing a while back where she tried to pitch him a book to work on, and he declined to work on it. So she's kind of salty about it. But at the same time, they keep encountering each other in this small town. So they start talking about certain things, and we find out what the deal is between the two of them, as well as their individual backstories. And within Nora's life, she has this little sister whom she's always had to take care of. So she already feels this parental responsibility that she actually never wanted to have. And that's why she essentially doesn't want kids. She is the cool auntie because her little sister does have kids, but she just doesn't want to have kids. And the hero is completely obsessed with the heroine. So once they get together, he's like, I'm going to take you however I can get you. And it's a different, again, exploration of a reason of not wanting to have kids present in life, which again, I appreciate to a certain extent. It wasn't my favorite because I just didn't buy into the romance as much as other Emily Henry books. But when it comes to this trope, and I think if you're an Emily Henry fan, you might definitely enjoy this one. You can definitely give it a shot. Now, the next one I read last year, I was quite late to the hype around this book, but I'm so happy that I finally picked it up. It's Radiance by Grace Draven. This is a fantasy romance friends to lovers book. And this one really has a heavy focus on the characters within this story. We've got the heroine and the hero entering a marriage of convenience where the two of them are completely repulsed by each other physically. So they build a friendship first and they become emotionally involved first before they actually get into a relationship physically. And I really love that about the story. And the two of them, at least, I haven't read the follow-up book to this book, but I think they remain child-free, if I'm not mistaken. But within this book, there is no mention of any children whatsoever. So I really appreciated that. I really appreciated the fact that we got a very strong build-up of why they started to like each other in the first place. And I also enjoyed the fact that the hero became quite overprotective over her, and the heroine as well, to a certain extent at a certain point within the book. So this one I would definitely recommend as well. Another book that is not a contemporary romance is A Blindfold by Amanda Milo. This one is an alien romance. It features a heroine who is actually blind, and she gets into this planet where she's sold off to this alien guy who is like a farmer on this other planet. And the two of them, very much like the previous book I talked about, Radiance, they are kind of weirded out by each other at the start of the book because they're quite different species. And they grow a friendship first before they actually become lovers. And the two of them are quite content building a life together without having kids into the mix, which I very much appreciated. There's a lot of fun banter and a lot of discovery when it comes to this book. And there is an amazing service dog within this book that just makes the story all the stronger. So this one I really, really loved, and I would definitely recommend. The last book I'm going to recommend on this list is one that I read, I think last year as well, if I'm not mistaken. It's called That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon by Kimberly Lemming. This is a fun kind of a romantic comedy, I think. Like it's a fantasy romantic comedy. I don't know how to label it, to be quite honest with you. This one features a heroine who accidentally saves a demon, like in the title. And then the two of them go on this quest because there is this goddess that has gone rogue, and there is a kind of a fear that something will happen to their planet. And they go on this quest where there is this found family aspect of encountering different characters who will help resolve this situation with the goddess. And there's a lot of funny moments. There's a lot of build up towards, there's this grumpy demon, there is this kind of feisty, sunshiny kind of a heroine, and the two of them go on this quest to save the world, essentially. That's the plot line for this one. It's quite a shorter book, but a very fun one. And no kids. No kids in this story at all. So whenever it comes to books that just don't feature getting married, having kids and everything, this one fits that to a T. So I would recommend this one as well. All right, dearest friends, these were the 10 books I wanted to recommend when it comes to child-free romances. Please let me know if you have ones that you want to recommend to me. Specifically, I love exploring new romances with my favorite tropes, and this has become a favorite trope of mine as well. So if you have ones that you want to drop down in the comments, please do so. And also don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I definitely appreciate all of your love and support. And I hope to see you in the next one. Have a wonderful, marvelous day. Happy reading. Take care and bye-bye.